Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gat, your host. A viewer has requested natal chart analysis based on a person's month, day, year, time of birth, and gender. And they also requested the life purpose numerology analysis that's based on the numerology in a person's name that as it appears on their birth certificate and their month, day, and year of birth. So I wanted to make sure we had the full name, so we're waiting on that to make sure. So we won't cover the life purpose in this video, but we will be doing the natal chart analysis, and then probably in the next video we'll be covering the name, numerology, and life purpose based on the birth date and the name on the birth certificate. So we're going to go right in. You are looking at the person's natal chart. Alright, so the first thing you see is that first house, and that's really good because her first house is her first house, but also her natal chart is in sync, because your first house is supposed to be Aries and your 8th house is supposed to be Scorpio. I'm not necessarily is supposed to, but if you're in sync, if you are in sync with the natal chart, because the 8th house is supposed to be Scorpio, 12th house Pisces, 6th house Virgo. So she's in what you would call perfect sync. And that's kind of unique because most people are not like that. And also, a lot of times the 12th house is in the first house, which means there's usually some issues there. Possibly from a previous life, so she doesn't have those issues as well. So that's good as far as the reading is concerned, because otherwise you got to do a lot of kind of like trying to figure out what happened at the birth, how the mother was at the birth, and things like that. All right, her ascendant has that number 3, just so you know. 3 is usually associated with, I'm just going to say higher consciousness, higher spirit life, because you had Jesus that raised after the 3 days. You got the Trinity. And they say Jesus started his ministry at 30 and ended at 33 and a half. That's what they say, just their teachings. But this is all mystical, esoteric teachings. And if you deal with if you deal with Doreen Virtue, the number 3 is associated with ascended masters. So now she's a nurturer, but she's an Aries of Aries, because see, the first house is ruled by Aries, and that house is Aries. And then she has that fiery, because then she has Vesta. See, Vesta always represents fire, always represents energy. Vesta also represents the priestess. It could be highly sexual. It just depends on how it is in your chart, where its placement is. But wherever you see Vesta, you have to be careful, because that could mean you'll burn out or you'll have health problems, because it's a lot of energy. So you got to know when to slow down and refresh yourself and relax. And again, Vesta primarily is going to be spiritual. It could represent closed quarters. It represents the heat in your house, the heater, the furnace, the fireplace, anything with energy. Even in your car, anything with energy. But Vesta can also represent closed confinement, such as an elevator. So all this is going on in the first house. And if you notice, Venus and Mars, but Venus is just entering. So again, now when it's that close, it could be possible that Venus was still in the first house, but this chart has it right in the second. So that's how we're definitely gonna read it, as in the second. But Mars is right there, and Juno. So wow, this is a highly romantic second house. So right there, that's amazing. Again, that's unbelievably amazing. because the second house is ruled by Taurus, but planet Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So she's already going to have, it's going to be some Libra there, even though you don't see Libra in the second house, but all this balancing between Mars and Venus, and then Juno right there. So, and it's her sun sign. So her rising sign, her ascendant, and your ascendant is where the sun was rising over the horizon when you were born. And that's called your rising sign or ascendant, which is Aries. And then the east point is where the sun was rising over the ecliptic at your birth. Now, this is very interesting. So now the second house, very interesting. So the second house ruled by Taurus, but the second house is really about possessions, finances, and how you value things. What do you value? So ironically, how you value your money, you kind of compare it to your relationship. Because Juno says, I want a serious relationship. And Taurus is very sensual. Taurus can be very loving in a relationship. It's an earth sign, so it is going to be somewhat earthy. Again, they're sensual. Sensual, they like to eat. They like massages. Uh, they can sometimes be stubborn. I guess it depends. And with that Mars energy. Now Taurus has this unique gift that no other astrological sign has. Basically, Taurus, wherever Taurus goes, people tend to want to make a Taurus, like want to satisfy a Taurus. If there's a group meeting and they're saying, yeah, we're definitely going to go left, and everybody's in the meeting and they definitely want to go left, but they'll kind of try to get Taurus's viewpoint, and Taurus has the power, even if they're not trying to have it. Taurus has the power to change it, even though everybody just said we're going to go left. For some reason, if Taurus was kind of leaning towards right, it would kind of change. Now, they say a Taurus has to realize that because the Taurus doesn't know any better. The Taurus will just go out minding its own business, but people will gravitate to try to get close to the Taurus and try to get the Taurus talking and things like that. So what I'm seeing from her first two houses is healing, because Curious is a healer. That's about nurturing and healing. And Vesta can be a healer too, but she's like I said, she can become like a priestess, or she can become highly sexual. It just depends on where it's at in the chart and stuff like that. And I'm sure she can just be coming with love, because this chart is pretty much reeling with love a large degree. And again, Taurus just has to be careful, because sometimes Taurus means well, but they can come off as far as bullying. So they have to learn how to you know, you could have your own agenda, but if it gets to the point where people feel like they're being bullied by you, that wouldn't be too wise. And this is healing too. So again, their value system, their money, their possessions is linked up with definitely with relationships. And good communication. So, and that's where that person gets healing as well too. So they definitely want a relationship, but they definitely want that earthy, materialistic, grounded foundation. In other words, they're not going to view a relationship if they don't see that. So now you got to give me some time because that's a unique conjunction. So we're going to look at it. Just give me a moment. So this is interesting. And that's why it makes perfect sense. So they're showing you why they put Mars closer to Juno than Venus. Because it says you know what you're looking for in a long-term lover, a strong backbone, an active, accessible energy, someone who loves to get out there and make it happen. Because with her, it ain't going to be no love and nothing like that if you ain't got nothing going for yourself. So this person can be very actively seeking what they want. That's that Aries Mars energy. And they know what they want. And that they're saying exactly what I'm saying, and they're very selective of who they're gonna be with. Like you have to have what that second house is talking about. All right, so that is the first house, second house, third house, true Gemini, and you have Gemini there. Third house is about the community around you or the environment around you. It's also about younger education. Fourth house is teenage to adult education. Third house is younger education. Third house is about creativity, your siblings, mental things, and communication. Because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Short travel. Now, when you get to your fourth house is about family, teenage to adult education, land and property, real estate, family and ancestors, the heart, travel, and vehicles. So we're going to look at that circle with the X is called good fortune. It's also called part of fortune. So we'll look at that. good fortune in the fourth house. This person needs a sense of home, roots, security, and stability to be totally happy. This does not mean that they need a house to call their own or their home. Their home can be an idea, a person, or an atmosphere that they feel is solidly behind them. Once they have this, they can go and find a 10th house professional identification. It says these people with good fortune in the fourth house are usually very patriotic, with a strong feeling for homeland, home, and parents. This person will be wealthy in the last third of their life. Now we're looking at part of fortune or good fortune in Cancer. This person will be warm, nurturing, and we saw the nurturing in the ascendant with Curious, and maternal. They seek security in the domestic circle. For this person, security is essential for happiness and success. So again, they're doing a lot in the first house and the second house to make sure they feel at home or secure in the fourth house, and therefore they can go on to the 10th house. All right, now in the 5th house, there's going to be a lot of fun there, a lot of travel, children in childlike ways, but just getting out having fun, and that's where her money is, Jupiter. Taking risk, not really caring a whole lot about restrictions or authority, but just really getting out and taking risk and having fun. So first thing we're going to do is Lilith in the 5th house and Lilith in Libra. Lilith and Leo. Lilith and Leo. So Lilith in Leo produces strong entertainment urges. Without any prompting, people can attract you to go to parties. They wrote attract, but they mean contact you. And then you set yourself on stage. But because of her third house and fifth house, she could be used to the stage or be, in front of people. You also want to participate in bets and speculations. Though your intuition tells you not to engage. You create harmony and peace. You know how to flirt and to manipulate. And you're probably well known due to your charming character. So everybody says he's a very charming person. That was Leo. That was Lilith in Leo. Now we're going to do Lilith in the fifth house. Spreads charisma, but they may, like you might like really spoil your children, or to the other extreme, you might be more demanding on your children. So they encourage Lilith in the fifth house to use wisdom and intuition, because they're going to be coming to wrong conclusions in the fifth house with children or other things. And there may be a lot of manipulation going on. They may be manipulating their children, or their children may be manipulating them. But when it says children, it could actually be anybody in the fifth house. They said a person that's Lilith in the fifth house, they like to surround themselves with luxury, but they need a lot of freedom. And they tend to speculate a lot. And that's what they mean by misjudgment. Now, here's the Virgo. So, their sun sign is the earth sign, Taurus, and then their true north node, because this is your life purpose, is Virgo in the sixth house. So when you deal with Saturn, you deal with your 10th house, because Saturn rules Capricorn. So your 6th house and your 10th house will be concerning your life purpose. Now your 6th house is always going to be about service, health, healing, the home, small children, small animals, co-workers, and subordinates. So that's a true north node for this life. But now you want to know why Saturn is there, and I think the best way to answer that is Saturn in the 6th house. This is my astrologybook.com. The 6th house, like the sign Virgo, represents the last personal stage in development, and thus is a critical one. The self-adjustments we undergo here determines our ability to relate to others on equal footing, which is your 7th house, relationships. And by its success or failure, unites us with or separates us from others. The sixth house is the house of work and health, or lack of either, hygiene and nutrition, service, servants, and servitude, daily routines, employment by others, and small animals and pets. Whereas in fifth house, activities are done for their own sake, sixth house work is done out of necessity or in support of other, more self-expressive activities. When our work becomes an end in itself, or we lose track of its purpose, it becomes pointless, and the results can be physical or psychological illness. The issue with planets in the sixth house is to remember that remember what the purpose of our work is and where is the joy. Without this knowledge, life isn't worth living. With Saturn in your sixth house, you have a strong work ethic. But even though your job may be burdened with responsibilities, you know how to conserve and meet out your energy. You may have difficulties in your place of work due to standing apart, being overly critical, and demanding as much from others as you do from yourself. See, that goes back to Taurus, because Taurus has that Virgo system. And Capricorn could kind of be that way too. So you're like a really earthy. You're really like an earthy sign, and because you got a lot of Virgo. That's your true north node. You have a lot of Taurus. That's your sun sign, and then you have a lot of Capricorn. So this means you're a very earthy person. So with your true north node and Virgo, you have to be very careful, because Virgo means, well, Virgo is who you want to go to. If you need somebody to see details and nobody else can see or find stuff that needs to be corrected, it will be a Virgo. And they have a great attention to detail. But with a Virgo, they can be overly critical, and they can't take it though. But they can be overly critical, so you just have to be careful. So that's why they're warning you about being overly critical and demanding as much from others as you would yourself. But everybody's not you, and everybody has strong points and things of that nature. It says your critical faculties are harsh, and you may have trouble in actually employing them. So that's what you have to really realize. And that just comes when people just realize, you may have gifts and things, and you kind of wonder why you're blessed with all this stuff, but then you go out in the real world and try to use it, and they don't really want it. So you have to learn how to just try your best to fit in. If you're a spiritual person, a lot of those gifts that are higher dimensional will probably work out there. But as long as you're dealing with a third dimension, you're going to be dealing with third dimension. A lot of people talk a good game, but they still want to stay third dimension. So it is what it is. Once you turn on once you turn on your analytical light, you can be relentless in your judgments. You may also have trouble assimilating experiences and making them your own. You worry too much over details and need to grow in wisdom with regard to what's worth worrying about and what's not. A well-placed Saturn in your sixth house indicates a hardy constitution, one able to withstand most diseases. An afflicted Saturn here, however, can denote a propensity toward chronic illness. So they're saying because you got Saturn and Virgo, you can heal. You'll heal better. Like you'll be able to go through what will be called diseases and can heal. But if it was afflicted, then you may have a lot of chronic illnesses. But I don't think anything's afflicted in the sixth house. And it's kind of unique because you see healing throughout your chart, because I already mentioned that with Curious, Vesta, and Chiron. Now, when you go into your seventh house, the house of relationship, and that is also your soulmate, that crosses the vertex, that is your soulmate. We're going to look at 12 degree Libra. Taciturn, introverted, and an inventive character. Although associations are key to a harmonious life, difficulties in expressing one's viewpoints and feelings damage partnerships. And in general, marriages in particular. Damage partnerships in general and marriages in particular. One should tap into one's creativity in order to sort out problems. This degree sometimes describes a misunderstood researcher. So there might be a misunderstanding in relationships. That's 12 degrees. Libra, now we'll do 16 degrees Libra. Irascible, fault-finding, and unfair character. One does not hesitate to criticize without offering a solution. The propensity to systematically contradict and snare at one's interlocutors might be tightly reined in, lest one undergoes serious setbacks. So even other person was warning you about criticizing. Yeah, it's funny because I would have, they warned you about criticizing in your sixth house with Virgo, because that is kind of like what Virgo can do. Criticizing is often associated with Virgo, but they didn't tell you that to Libra, because Libra's another one. Like Libra can really because they're all about peace and harmony or everything fair. But like you think, well, we'll agree to disagree. Let's say, and they'll say yeah, but then they'll keep on going in anyway. You know, they'll keep on going in, and you're like, oh, I thought we said we were gonna, agree to disagree. But they like to kind of get their way. So that can be considered criticizing too. Like they're like nagging, criticizing. So when you want to know about relationships, like I said, whenever you do your natal chart, taking notes, you take notes and things, but you just want to be aware of it, because it's better you be aware of it, giving yourself an opportunity to do something about it, than to say, oh, that's not right. I'm okay. I'm a beautiful person. I don't have any faults. And then you get yourself in a situation where the criticizing gets to be too much, or, So that's the real reason of getting your natal chart. You can find a lot of people get it for compatibility, twins, or learning things about family or people around them. But you want to find out what your life prophecies are, what's your predictions, and how you can actually improve. Because then the universe might send somebody in your life that you guys don't break up because you're not criticizing, or you might, it might start to come out, and you might remember this video and be like, yeah, let me just be quiet. But if I keep going, I'm gonna lose this situation. So that's why you want to know these things. All right. Now, and I'm gonna tell you right now, and that's probably why Pluto is there, because that's Pluto retrograde, and that's all about purging. See, the cross is all about your soulmate. A significant meeting could be your soulmate, your twin soul, a significant event that'll take place. But see, this is your relationship sector, and because of the degrees, they're saying, well, you would have a trouble in your relationships because of criticizing. But then Pluto retrograde will just take it all away. Like something you're dependent on, like your high horse, he'll kick the legs out underneath you and take the horse away to make you have to really go inward, to make you change, and even sometimes make you surrender, because you're not going to change as long as you feel you've got what I'm just going to call it the court advantage. As long as you feel you have the court advantage, you're not going to change. So when Pluto retrograde comes, it takes away something swiftly and quickly, and then it takes you deep down. And remember, Pluto rules Scorpio, deals all with emotions, so your psychological makeup, your soul, your dark side, all this is 8th house, Scorpio, Pluto. All this stuff is going to go into shame. Not necessarily shame, but it breaks you down. It's a form of surrender, because it's going, you're not getting it back, and that's how you learn. And if you do get it back, it'll be at a time when you'll think twice before for whatever caused Pluto retrograde to take it away in the first place. Now you'll be more inclined to not do that again, or not so soon. So again, that's why I said when you get your natal chart, you see it and you learn. I gotta watch how I handle this or handle that. Or maybe just learn how to laugh your way through a situation, or apologize if that seems the only way to get through this. Now Juno means you might find yourself in a relationship with someone who may be a Taurus, and because of the way your chart is, it could mean that, but it could also be Venus. Venus rules Taurus or Libra, so it could be a Libra, and that makes sense because we go right to your 7th house, so that's interesting. But even it could be Aries, or like a Virgo, or a Gemini. It just depends. All right, now when we get to your 8th house, must remember that Mars used to rule Scorpio. Now Mars rules Aries, so Scorpio rules your 8th house, and that's a highly emotional house. A water sign, Scorpio. So now you have Uranus retrograde, and what Uranus retrograde is the unpredictable. In other words, somebody who's normally quiet all of a sudden become more outgoing, more talkative. Somebody maybe more talkative all of a sudden will become more reserved. Now, Uranus retrograde deals with issues of authority. Many times they just have an issue with authority. And so they can be very extreme. They're like hot or cold. They never middle ground. And they may have had issues with authority or taking orders in a past life. So in this life, a Uranus retrograde's got to learn how to compromise, because it's not always going to be anybody's one way. They have to learn compromise. Might as well say patience as well. But I want to just read everything that's in the 8th house. And how that is, I just read it because you could always take notes, or you could always just go to the online and also look at it again, use a search engine, because that's a very intense house. But before we go there to the 8th house, everything that's in it, we're gonna do the Uranus retrograde again, just with more information on it. All right. So they say you also have to learn compassion. They say because you don't understand extremes, you have to learn the gray area. Like that's just, we're here with everybody. Everybody's not gonna see what we see or believe what we believe, but you just learn how to function with other people. All right, but now what we're gonna do is read everything that's in the 8th house. And remember, wherever you see Pluto or Scorpio in your chart, it's gonna have that energy, that possibility, or that energy is going to be there. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and deals with secrets, sexual matters, mysteries, doubt, accusations, suspicions, supernatural, psychic abilities, internal plotting, internal dignity, conspiracy, vengeance, revenge, anxiety, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsessions, addictions, compulsion, power struggles, manipulations, abuse, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, codependency, stalking, intense, watery emotions, arguments, debates, tauntings, revenge, fear, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformation, high sexuality, doubt, debt, taxes, IRS, legal matters, court, lawsuits, inheritances, law breaking, shared resources, finances, business, karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behavior, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, agents, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healing, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, internet, long distance, advanced technology, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden, taboo, astrology knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, deceived persons, astral planning, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, woman's body, and finance. The eighth house rules other people's money and transformation. Other people's money can mean debt, taxes, inheritances, wills, joint finances, shared resources, and loans. The eighth house is on an axis with the second house, and this is your axis of money. The second house is your money. The eighth house is other people's money. Now, transformation can be mental, emotional, physical. It can be sex, start of life, pregnancy, process of life, major transformation of woman's body, and death, literally and or figuratively. The eighth house is one of three relationship houses. The fifth house being love, seventh house being commitment, eighth house being sex. Alright, so that's what you have going on there. And then anywhere you see Scorpio or Pluto in your chart is dealing with that. And just so people know, like when people get the natal chart, they get the free report. So on your natal chart now is two videos from DNA Awakening. It's all about understanding the stages of twin flame relationship and understanding twin flame drama. And I said, well, this isn't really a twin flame reading, but the reason why I'm saying that is because you still see it in the chart, regardless. So I just bring it out for people who want to know more about it. So if you have come across it or ever do come across it, you'll have a better understanding. Because you're definitely going to have some type of loss, some type of sudden loss in relationships. Doesn't necessarily mean anybody's going to die or anything, but it does mean something that you had is going to be gone. So a lot of times you had in the twin flames separation, breaking up and making up. All right, so now we move on to. So if you want to say one thing, see with all that stuff I just read. So what? However much of that applies to this person's life, because of Uranus retrograde, it's going to be like a light switch going back and forth, or changing, sudden change, and they got to learn how, they got to learn how to balance. Plus, that's extreme emotions. And remember, I'm just letting you know, it's no coincidence. See, the vertex that cross with the in the Libra, this is partnership, relationship, contracts, legal matters. Could even be enemies to a certain degree. But you know that you're talking about a soul connection, or a twin flame, twin soul connection. And it's going to be, highly explosive and very emotional, highly explosive. So it could be hard for some people to get a grip, but that's what they're showing you on the chart. And that's what I'm trying to say. Because it's that way, that's probably why it's going to lead to some type of sudden loss. Sudden, really like an unexpected loss. And that's a Pluto retrograde. So we gave you advice on how to deal with it, as far as the advice I gave for that Uranus retrograde. And it was funny, it was just right in that area, all your planets in those areas went retrograde. Now, you have the gift of telepathy and even traveling with your mind. Because when you see Sagittarius and Neptune, That's usually pretty much what that's about. But yours is retrograde, so you always have to make note of that. And see, what they're doing is taking your ninth house into your 12th house because Neptune rules Pisces, and Pisces rules your 12th house. So give me one moment because your ninth house is all about your higher self, and you'll always have positive or negative of everything. So you have a positive aspect of your soul, a negative aspect, or a male or a female, however you want to say it, yin and yang, light, darkness, however you want to say it. So in your ninth house, they do meet because your higher self will always be one. It's you two together. So that's what you have in your ninth house. And Neptune is there so you two can communicate through dreams because Neptune rules Pisces and Neptune rules dreams. And this is your ninth house is higher self, higher education, class and culture, religion, philosophy, foreign language, anything foreign, a person's in-laws. So I'm gonna try to see if they do this. See, generally speaking, I like to see what you have is Neptune retrograde in the ninth house. So I would love to see exactly that, but they don't always do it that way. All right. All right. So one person is saying, this is Vedic astrology. This is Hindu or India, and we'll read what they say. And it just depends, but I'm very careful because sometimes they can be somewhat. It just depends, not all the time, but they can be somewhat negative. So I'm very careful whenever I use them because I don't like to. I don't like to say negative if I don't see it there. You know. All right. Excuse me, because I just got a situation. I'm gonna put this on pause for a moment. All right. So we just have to continue now. All right. So we was getting ready to go into Neptune retrograde. Now just give me a moment because I want the Neptune. I want the retrograde part first. When Neptune is retrograde in the ninth house, there is a deep inspiration and person can understand essence of life and its true meaning. Person can understand himself on deepest level. Okay, again, this is astrology-prophets.com. It's Vedic astrology. When Neptune is retrograde in the ninth house, I'm reading it the way they wrote it, so sometimes I gotta add words. There is a deep inspiration and the person can understand essence of life. See, they're saying deep inspiration because Neptune rules Pisces. Pisces is about spirit and inspiration. And its true meaning. Person can understand himself on deepest level. So if you want to get understanding, they're advising you to really tap into your ninth house. And your ninth house is ruled by Sagittarius. And you have Neptune there. Neptune retrograde. Now Now I'm just going to try to do something. Now we're going to go somewhere else. Now we just want to look at Neptune retrograde. All right. Yeah, so this is why they're doing this. This is the same thing. See, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And now you got Neptune and the ninth house ruled by Sagittarius. But a lot of times when either Jupiter goes retrograde, still dealing with Sagittarius energy, or Neptune goes retrograde, it's so that your intuition can come out more. So really, in that sense, that's a spiritual house. So your ninth house will really help you understand spiritual things in higher frequencies, higher vibrations. Because it's going to tell you, Neptune retrograde is saying be more intuitive, forget about logic. And that's why I told you you're able to telepathy, possibly astral plane, stuff like that. And also the ninth house with a Neptune retrograde means esoteric matters and can increase dreams and psychic abilities increase. So, and that is a house of like education, even called higher education. And it helps you examine your inner nature. So your ninth house is going to help you with your 12th house. Because Neptune rules Pisces, Pisces rules the 12th house, and the 12th house is all about your inner side. And so is your 8th house, believe it or not. So now they're going to give you new outlooks of communications coming to the surface as artistic abilities get increased. So with your Gemini, your 3rd house, with your Leo, your 5th house, and with your 9th house, through creativity, you can do a lot of like what you would call spirit connections, spiritual connections, soul connections. But you have to be careful of Neptune as a rule over bacteria, viruses, and immune systems. So when it goes retrograde, allergies kick up or worsen. And addiction, children who are given vaccinations during this time can develop stronger reactions to the drugs. Many people will suffer with an oversensitive immune system and can develop more serious diseases. So you got to be careful catching things, especially when you travel, because the 9th house is a travel house. Now, I warned you about the Vedic astrology, but the Vedic astrology said you had to be careful traveling because it could be, it could be harmful or non-productive or dangerous. But I say based on what. So that's why I don't like to say that, but I'm obligated to, because if I don't mention it and if they were to go and something happened, I have to mention it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that was what Vedic astrology said for Neptune in the 9th house. And that's astrology-prophets.com. But now we're still going to continue. So they say be careful though, because with Neptune retrograde, a lot of people try to escape reality or they become addicted. Now here's a case scenario for this placement we're looking at. Somebody might say, hey, you need to use this hallucinogen. If I say I think I'm going to see the word. If I say it, I'll say it again. Hallucinogen. You need to use this to get to a higher level. But you may use it, but it can cause some form of addiction. Because either way, Neptune retrograde means escapism, and sometimes it means addiction to drugs or abuse or hallucinatory drugs. So you have to be careful. Because that's why I try to say you always have to be careful who you talk to. Because I've talked to a lot of people and a lot of young females, like in their 20s or so. Men would say that to them. In order for you to get to the higher level, you have to have sex with me. And they just believe it. See, the body's supposed to be sacred, so you don't just give your body up like that. But people do, or they say other crazy stuff about homosexuality and how it goes up your kundalini, up your spine, and causes you to have more wisdom. And people believe these things. So you have to be careful with that in the 9th house. They say somebody with a Neptune retrograde, they're just like Scorpio. They're not going to tell you what's on their mind. And they tend to stay, even if they're working, and they're at work, their body's there, but their mind is in another place and everything. So they say Neptune retrograde can be one of the most dangerous retrogrades in the astrological chart system, because it is a retrograde of escapism and not really dealing with life as it is a reality. So you have to be careful of that. You might become inhibited due to lack of confidence to reach your dreams and reality. And they may deal with various bouts of depression or mental illness. So in a past life, your dreams may have been laughed at, put down, or forbidden. You may have been persecuted. Or you may have given up your lifelong dreams because you had to put bread on the table. So that kind of messed you up. Because that's the first thing I know. It wasn't a lot in your 4th house of family. So that might have something to do with past life. So they're saying with a Neptune retrograde, what you have to do in this life is learn to rise above the challenges that come across your path. Like don't escape by drugs, don't escape by alcohol, don't use hallucinatory drugs. Some people just want to dance and party their life away. You got to come to a balance that nothing's wrong with having fun, but you got to deal with whatever comes before you, not escape. That's what they're advising you to do. And they say even if you have to seek help to find it. And they said as you reach out to help other people, and really that's what Neptune is, because Neptune rules Pisces. Pisces is about helping other people. But that's when we get to your 12th house. They say the more you help other people, you realize that just like you have problems, they have problems too. And like I said, I'm always going to be me. And this is why I'm not really liked out here. And this is why you see my numbers not as big as they could be, or maybe they were. But I just tell you the truth. If we have all this energy to do bad, then we should have some energy to do good. And basically that's what, no matter how many natal charts I do or whatever's going on with people, the more people realize, hey, I got to give to receive. That's the universal thing. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not talking necessarily, it could be financially, but I'm not talking finances. But if you're in a relationship, you owe that person something, and they owe you something. So that's why I said if you're in a situation where somebody is trying to open up to you and you're not opening up back, you understand when you made that choice. Because we just went around a natal chart, and if a person has no problem giving sex or flirting or giving sex and all that, but then you get to the relationship sector, now they're not giving back, and now it's hard and difficult. Well, to me, that person is making a choice. And then once we justify it, it's never going to get. Then you're just going to keep on reincarnating over and over again. And what you didn't work on in the past life, you're going to have to work on in this life. And that's why once we got to the relationship sector, you started seeing a lot of auras. So that's just the truth. And the people don't like that. They want me to lie and give you bubblegum astrology and then just rip you off of your money. Because that's what most of these people are doing. I won't say all of them, but most of them really could care less. As long as they're getting that money, they'll tell you anything. Whereas I'm going to tell you the truth. All right, and that's funny because the 9th house is about a search for truth and all that stuff. You have to really want it. And that's how you receive it. You have to really want it. Just like you want that great job, you'll get it. Anything you really want in life, if you pursue it, you'll get it. All right, I wanted to do that. You're 18. in your 8th house with Scorpio, that number 18. I want to look that up. Paradoxic character, at the same time combative and passive. Yes, see, that goes back to that sun, the sun and Mars, Venus and Mars. See, because your 8th house is opposite your 2nd house. So even with that number 18 degrees in Scorpio, that's what they said. Combative and passive. So again, passive aggression. Benevolent and quarrelsome. This is the same thing going on in your 2nd house. Bold and careful. The efforts put in with view to achieving success benefit from the protection of powerful people to whom one is loyal. This degree may also indicate a strong appetite and overweight problem. So you have to watch that love of pleasure, love of sensuality, because that's what's going to happen. And we kind of warned you about that in the 2nd house. Now medium Coeli. So you have 3 degrees. Medium Coeli is also your purpose in life. You have your true north node. This is your purpose in life. And yours was aura, and it should be. Your true north node that looks like a horseshoe should always be aura. Have an aura. It should have an aura. But if it didn't have an aura, that would mean you have problems in that. You would have problems in that area. So your true north node again is that service person, healer, home person, health, daily work, daily activity, everything we talked about. That's your career. And also, they said they put Saturn there, I believe, to help with healing as well. So that's your true purpose. But as your career, so you may find some type of homework, some type of home service, because that is your career. And again, Capricorn is all about career. They tend to they're just career motivated. They can look good, but they're just focused. Their motto is "I use," so they may tend to use people, but the bottom line is they are workers, and they're interested in their career, and there's an earth sign, earthy people. So I'm just gonna say 3 degrees Capricorn. 3 degrees Capricorn. Competitive, solitary, and noble character. No, I'm sorry, contemplative, solitary, and noble character. One achieves success and obtains a prominent position in education, law, or the arts. So that goes right back to your 9th house. In any case, one becomes some sort of spiritual guide and champions the cause of justice. This degree indicates higher ideas and a strong probability of moral beauty. So it seems like some of the struggles you go through is going to help you be more of a spiritual, say a spiritual example or a spiritual teacher. And remember, spiritual is that word is so exclusive. It's not just spiritual. Hey, I'm a Christian, I'm spiritual. No, it's spirituality all over the place. So you got to remember that. Now we're going to do 3 degrees. I believe it was Aries. Pragmatic, modest, and unsophisticated character. In spite of great natural wisdom, one has no inclination for studies. One is driven by the sense of honor, by genuine generosity. The man hidden in the shrubs is not necessarily ill-intentioned. He may just be an original and independent person who prefers to remain out of the mainstream. In this lifetime, one can expect at least one major encounter which brings about crucial events, the positive or negative outcomes of which depend on the natal chart. All occupations related to security, such as police, the military, or law, are highly favored, because they keep saying that about you. Even when you see Virgo, the 6th house, that's service. And they keep saying the law as well. In the natal chart, Mars in this degree, and Mars is on this degree and forms hard aspects with the Sun and Moon. He may portend a violent death. So just give me a moment. Now, when I see that the second time, now this is a totally different site. They say may portend a violent death. So that's why I say that's when I start warning to say be careful, because now we said if you travel long distance or foreign, it may not go well for you. Now this is saying that it may portend a violent death. And that was in your first house, Aries, at 3 degrees. And like I know metaphysics, but what did I tell you? 3 degrees is like ascendant. It's like higher people. You understand? And they will come here. Like people that come here that are not really from planet Earth, they will die. Like, or whatever, however you can deal with it. But there's people on this planet that are just not meant for this planet. They're never, like, I'm never gonna fit in on this planet ever. And the more I wake up, the more I really don't fit in on this planet. So those type of people do tend to die, like somebody will murder them or just die in a violent accident and all kind of crazy stuff. And that's how Jesus Christ went. If you just study your history on Earth, even how did Gandhi die? I forget how Gandhi died. But even if he died naturally, they still put a death. They had put a death threat out on Gandhi, and he was the most peaceful man on the world at that time, and they wanted to kill him. All right. To serve as an omen or a warning of presage. Black clouds that portend a storm. To indicate any prediction. All right. And like I said, Jesus Christ was what? A priest. And then you're right there. You're over there with an investor. Investor's the priestess. So when I look at something like that, it makes perfect sense to me, because I know you seated 3 and all that. It's almost like a sacrifice. Even like if you think somebody like Marilyn Monroe. If you really study Marilyn Monroe, what they said, it was kind of like a sacrifice. Then they was trying to say she died by a fireplace. Well, that's Vesta. Vesta is the fireplace. And then they say, well, her body was moved or whatever. Then they say, well, they know they were covered. They were burning stuff in her fireplace. Somebody was in it as she died, or when she was dead, they were burning like evidence in the fireplace. But that's all Vesta. That's why I said the more you understand metaphysics, none of this is shocking. And it's hard for me because I have a spiritual side. But if I use it, then people get upset. But the bottom line is, when you use Christianity correctly, it's actually going to help you, because Christianity holds the secrets of metaphysics, and that's why it tells you how to pray and all, because that way you're protected. But if you've been trained on a low frequency, you go, no, well, I don't really believe that. You know, everybody has a right to what they believe. I don't believe that. But then what you're doing, you're pushing away the energy that could help you. And you say, well, I don't believe that, but I believe in love, and I believe in sex, and I believe it's okay. So now what you're doing is all that other energy that can take you out in the 8th house, where we talked about that, or take you out where you see Aries at, we talked about that. See, that aggressive stuff we believe in, because that's a lower frequency. But a higher frequency, we act like it doesn't, and we reject it. But that could have saved us. So that's why I would strongly advise you never just turn knowledge down unless it's really demonic or something. But never just turn knowledge down, because you're only going by what somebody else taught you, and that's the biggest mistake everybody's doing. See, I've learned that a long time ago. I study everything. I don't go by what anybody. I don't care. I'm still going to study myself, because they could be wrong. They could be lying to you. You could be getting set up. That's like I said. Now, going back to your 9th house, somebody might say, I'm gonna take you across the world. I want to travel with you. And you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. We're gonna travel across the world. But then he's gonna get you to some isolated spot. And then the next thing you know, it's like a movie. Like you're running through the woods and he's talking about with a rifle or something. And you don't realize you're being hunted. You thought you were going on this great foreign thing, and now you're like they're chasing you through the woods like they were like an animal hunting you. Now these are warnings that are being given, and if you understand, it's right by that 3 again, by with Capricorn. So, and Capricorn is also the goat or the sacrifice. So when you see these things, it helps you stay more awake. Not trying to be scared. Not saying be scared, because it might, just the other day, I had to get out. I had things I had to get done. And I read some stuff that's like, it's a bad day, it's going to be dangerous. And I was like, well, we're going to have to find out. I went out anyway, because I had to get things done. You can't be terrified, but just be aware of it. And don't sleep on the spiritual aspect, because the spiritual aspect, and when I say spiritual, now I'm definitely talking about whatever prayer or salvation. Don't sleep on that. That's higher metaphysics, but it's been taught to you. They make you think it's just silly, but it's not. All of this stuff is spiritual. All this stuff is metaphysics. All this stuff taps back into the source. And see, you even got a 3 with your moon. It's a minute though. You got 23 degrees and you have 3 again. So that's why I said you're dealing with a priest, you're dealing with an ascendant master, your Jupiter is 3 degrees. So let's look at 3 degrees Leo. Patient, observant, shrewd character, endowed with a great capacity to wait for the good opportunity, no matter how long it takes. One is able to spend much time in thorough analysis, and when the time is right, one knows how to swiftly make the right decisions. Success can be achieved in diplomacy and all occupations requiring self-control, flexibility, and perseverance. All right. Now your 11th house is Aquarius with the moon sign at 23. At the end of the day, Your 11th house is all about friends, association, groups, but you're gonna have like a moon connection with those people, an emotional connection with those people, a community connection with those people, a motherly connection with those people. And remember, the moon rules Cancer of the 4th house, which is a family connection with those people. So, but you're always going to be like a motherly and a nurturing. And I kind of get the feeling that even in love, you're kind of like you have like the kind of like mothering, nurturing type of sex, which a lot of guys like that. A lot of guys love that. So I just see you as a kind of like a nurturer. All right, but Aquarius, what Aquarius wants to do, Aquarius wants to help the community, help the world around it, help the people, teach the people, or if the people don't understand it, the Aquarius tries to teach them. Uh, So I'm really more, to be honest with you, I'm more interested in Moon in the 11th house than I am in Moon in Aquarius, because Aquarius rules the 11th house. But I'm more interested in Moon in the 11th house. And good, this is my astrology book, one of my favorites, myastrologybook.com. The 11th house is where we find our identity within a group. The 11th house is where we find our identity within a group. It symbolizes one too many relationships, as distinct from the 7th house as one-on-one relationships. The 11th house rules friends, groups, our social circle, membership in societies and organizations, ideas and aspirations shared by the groups to which we belong, and in general situations in which we have to change our behavior to get along with more than one another person at a time. Planets in the 11th house show the kind of friends we are attracted to. All right, so then your friends, well, the moon would definitely be nurturing, motherly, psychic, maybe even intuitive. I would say the moon is kind of like a social sign in a different way though, because the sun is social too. But I believe the moon is a social sign. When I think of the moon, I think of the soul, and when I think of the sun, I think of the spirit. That's why if you study like the Africans before all this racism and stuff, the Africans were a maternal people. Maternal people. That's the moon. And then when the Christians came, they changed everything to the sun, the sun, the sun. So they say a lot of your friends might be women, but I'm gonna change that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Aquarius can also be considered the like it's ruled by Uranus, and that's considered like this kind of weird, kind of strange, not normal. So they're friends. It doesn't necessarily mean women. It could also mean like men that that it's a word they use. Well, I might be this, but I resonate better. I just use resonate. It's another word they use. But these might be men that resonate better with feminine energy. So it could mean that as well. It said, but the nature of these friendships depend on the nature of the moon's aspects and its sign placement. In any case, friendships and beliefs go through phases with the moon and this domicile. You need to be part of a group and draw strength and encouragement from your friends and acquaintances. Working with others, especially on community or humanitarian efforts, is perfect for you. You make yourself real by making your goals and ideals real. If the moon has difficult aspects, it may be that few of your friends are close to you. If the moon is very badly aspected, one close hard aspect from or hard aspect from more than one of Sun, Mars, Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, and in Aries, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn. These friends may be souls you've used in past lives that have karmically returned to you in this one. See, that's why I tell you the moon is more like with the soul. So some of these friends in your 11th house might be friends from your past life or from the past, and you have karmic depth to or karmic relationships with. Again, whenever you get to a point, this is how you do. First, you listen to your natal chart. Whenever you need more, that's when you can ask questions to whoever, angel cards, whatever you feel is going to work best for you. Because like I said, I'm really not out here to argue with people. So whatever you feel is best for you. And I know this can be hard though, because I see a lot of people really break down. But you got to try to hold a grip because you're trying to get answers. You don't want to just get a reading and then break down, because that's not going to help anybody. You want to try to hold it together to get answers, because by getting answers, you'll have a better understanding in which you can work on. See, I'm a little bit different. I would rather work through it, but that's why I keep telling you I'm not from this planet, because there's something about this planet where just being stressed out and dramatized seems to be the main activity of the people on the planet. Like even if you could take the two people to sit down and work it out, they're not going to do it. But they'll sit there and oh, why isn't so and so? I wish we could work. Oh, why is what's going on? But if you was to say, okay, we want to let's get them together. Let's try to work this out. They wouldn't do it. So that's this planet. And I learned that, because I had to learn, because I'm one of these goody two shoes who think you can help everybody and change the world. But it is what it is. Everybody's different, and I learned that. So we're getting ready to go into your 12th house. So what I just told you is important. And then for your 11th house, where we're at right now, you have to realize that too. Because first off, you got to find out if people really even want to help. Because you could try to help them, but if they really don't want to help, then... Now, some celebrities that have moon in their 11th house is Lonnie Anderson. Well, what do we know about Lonnie Anderson? She was Miss Beautiful, WKRP. Everybody wanted to be with Lonnie, but she ended up with Burt Reynolds. Now, here was Burt, and who wanted to be with Burt? Wasn't it the woman that played in the woman that played in Flying Nun? Give me a second. Sally Fields. Those movies. BJ and the Bear. I don't know. I'm old. I don't remember everything. Sally Fields. Sally Field and Burt Reynolds. See, I didn't even have to type it in. I just typed in Sally Field and Burt Reynolds. And he messed up. And later on, he regretted it. Because she really loved him or something. He didn't appreciate it at the time. But later in life, he kind of did. But, she didn't really have a response for it. But it's kind of funny. I'm pretty sure they were probably soul. They were connected by the soul. And right before she died, they said, do you know Burt Reynolds said that you're the love of his life? And she really couldn't even respond. You could tell she still had feelings, but she didn't want to be with him no more. But he had the chance to be with her, and I don't know what was going on. I don't know if Lonnie was in the picture at that time or not. I really don't know. But he went for Lonnie, and then Lonnie hurt him. So he kind of hurt Sally Fields, but then Lonnie hurt him. And what I liked about Burt Reynolds, he was a real dude. Like, he's a lot like me. Like, I would watch some of his characters. Like, I tell you the characters I relate to. Burt Reynolds, a lot of characters Al Pacino played, because these guys ain't scared of nobody. And like in one of Burt Reynolds' movies, he was getting beat up in a bar, and they threw him up on the table, and they dragged him through the bar. Or they threw him up on a bar and they dragged him. And while they were dragging him, he was grabbing other people's drinks and drinking them and stuff. I said, this dude is just like me. Like, how? This is so funny. And he was so cool because when he met Clint Eastwood, he took a lesser part. He could have said, hey, listen, I'm Burt Reynolds. Why should I take a lesser role of Clint Eastwood? But he didn't. But everything he did, he made fun. Like, everything he did was so real. Like his movies where some female smacked him, so he smacked her back. Another movie was him and Ozzie Nelson when he had a TV series, and they were trying to beat up, or they were getting ready to fight these guys, but his character was a boxer, so him and Ozzy took quarters, a roll of quarters, and put them in their fist to hold it tight and hit the guys with it. So I grew up on stuff like that, so I always had respect for him for those reasons. And as you know, like what you say, his younger days, whatever. See, he admitted, he said, I spent. Now, the reason why you say, what does this got to do with me? It might have everything to do with you because you're talking about separation on your chart and everything. I spent 5 years with Seth, and I keep seeing the number 5 all over the place. So that's another sign. I spent 5 years with Sally Field. She was the love of my life, and I screwed the relationship up. So, at least he admitted it. I mean, sometimes if she doesn't want it, and then she died. Like, she died, if I'm not mistaken, she died shortly after that. It says Burt Reynolds and Sally Field put aside their bitter breakup. I don't know about that. All right, I just got to know the movies they played in, because it was big. Give me 1 second. So one of them was Smokey and the Bandit, going back to 1977. All right. All right. Now, we're going back to your 5th house. Why? Because I keep telling you that number 5. It was all over the place. But that's not why I'm going back, but I just remembered. See, everything happens for a reason. I learned sometimes you just got to let spirit have its way. So Jupiter is in your 5th house. So, it's like you're actually making money, having fun. So, that's really what that's about. But we can look at it if we want. We can go Jupiter in the 5th house. Did we even did we? Yeah, we did. We did the moon in the 11th house. Jupiter in the 5th house. It's funny because a lot of Indian, like Hindu websites wanted to answer that question. All right. You will find luck, ease of working, and general good fortune coming through your own creative ability in art, education, sport, and financial speculation. There is a possibility of a warm and generous loving love life involving those of wealth or expansive temperament. And remember, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so your 5th house is going to be connected to your 9th house because of that reason. So whatever I said about your 9th house. And see, Neptune, anything with Neptune, Leo, Sagittarius, Uranus, all that stuff helps you with being connected. Like long distance communications coming in through your, however it's done, through your psyche, subconscious, however they're able to do that. But you're going to be very fine-tuned, connected for that. And that's why, like I said, these people, they say, oh, you're crazy. And they're not. They're just not limited to third dimensional thinking. Third dimensional is crazy if you ask me. All right. All right, so we're gonna try Jupiter in the 5th house. All right, they don't want to just give me Jupiter. So I want to find somebody who's going to specifically give me Jupiter in the fifth house. I don't want it with anything else but Jupiter in the fifth house. That's what I'm asking for. And I do have a few of them, but I'm just looking at them, looking over. All right, we'll do South Florida Astrologer.com. The party never stops. We said that that's what it's all about, fun. When Jupiter is in the fifth house. But like I said, that can be escapism. That's what I'm trying to tell you. See, people say, hey, back off me, dude. I'm just having fun, man. Get off me. But if you're never dealing with your responsibilities, that's escapism. Nobody parties harder than me, even though I haven't partied in a long time. But I always know to have my business handled. The party never stops when Jupiter is in the fifth house. Fun is limitless, and this position is a fifth house. Jupiter is sustained for restrictions. Like I told you, this is the person that don't want to be told what to do, don't want no Saturn coming around. Jupiter sustained for restrictions allows the chart holder to get lost in creative pursuits, but they can be a highly creative person, and your creations will be blessed. And free-spirited self-expression. Jupiter's easygoing attitude keeps these chart holders from worrying about how their self-expression is received by others, which further inflates their expressiveness. However, Jupiter notoriously takes things too far, and in the fifth house, this can mean excessive indulgence in fifth house vices like alcohol, affairs, and parties. So you have to be careful. And they also said in your eighth house about eating too much. But anyway, Taurus loves to eat as well. So then you got to worry about your health. But to its credit, Jupiter always knows where the best party is with all the trendiest people and has a keen eye for catching on to new cultural trends. So that's fashion, but it can be fun. See, a good business for you in these areas would be like fashion, clothing, but also fun spots, socializing, music, and even like highlighting new talents and stuff. This position gives the chart holder a sixth sense about social networking, and they are likely to befriend people who can help them climb the social ladder. And as you know, the fifth house is opposite the 11th house. They tend to work together. A fifth house Jupiter enjoys dating many people without getting too close to any of them. If Jupiter eventually settles down, this will likely mean changing the focus to having children, because it's in the fifth house, and the fifth house is children. In its usual style, Jupiter won't hold back. A large family is a great fifth house Jupiter mode for self-expression. Jupiter here makes the chart holder generous, open, and candid with children. The chart holder with Jupiter in the fifth house communicates honestly with children. And then you can remember what we said with Lilith, which we already did as well. All right. So your 12th house will always be about endings. Zodiac sign Pisces. Spiritual, but also receives dreams from Neptune. It could be intuitive. It could be discerning as well. Pisces can be compassionate, but Pisces has to be careful because it sacrifices too much. So you have to learn how to help people, but don't help them so much that they burn you out, and don't help them so much that they're always looking for you to do it. So we'll say zodiac sign Pisces. This is zodiac signs astrology.com. This one's kind of doing some stuff that we really don't have to They're going too much in this stuff. We don't really need all that. Well, anyway, your 12th house is about karma and endings. So because of your chart, you have to deal with that. Whatever I said about Pisces and things like that. And it's not you know, we're going to do Palace as well, but it's not enough in your 12th house to really get more specific. But you're dealing with anything would be Pisces, because you have to come to reckon with that. And that was your 9th house where you saw Neptune retrograde. So you might even be dealing with 9th house issues in your 12th house. And Jupiter used to rule Pisces, and some people will tell you that it still does. But now Jupiter rules Sagittarius, Neptune rules Pisces. So the Pisces personality is understanding. Pisces can be gentle, compassionate, affectionate, easygoing, generally accepting of people around them. They tend to like it in the company of a variety of different personalities. And your 12th house deals with buildings like churches, police station, any type of building. But it also deals with your shadow, your darker side. A lot of stuff in your 8th house is really in your 12th house as well. It does deal with prostitution, could deal with alcohol and things like that. Pisces' willingness to give of themselves emotionally lends an aura of quiet empathy. Pisces is comforting to be around. Will not likely to be the leader. The sign's presence is strong and vibrant in any cause they put their hearts to. The strength of a Pisces, they're intuitive, compassionate, artistic, gentle, wise, and musical. Their weaknesses are they can be a victim of a martyr. In other words, they tend to like, oh, you know, they like if they do things, but they're doing it to get attention. Like that's why they always warn people in the 12th house, because somebody might say, hey, listen, I do help people. I'm at my let's just say they go to a church or so. I go to a church I'm always helping people, but what they're doing is that they're still in the glory. Like they'll start talking about something they're going through, or they always try to act like a martyr, or something happened, or on the way here. You know, they always try to make it about them. So they say you have to be careful of that. Also, not naive, because they tend to be overly trusting. But see, when you have Neptune is called the deceiver, because Neptune will make you think everything's okay. Okay, you're doing everything spiritual. What could go wrong if you're obeying God? But then all hell breaks loose, because you see what goes on in these churches, molestation, you name it, they're doing it. So you have to be very careful, because Neptune can deceive Pisces. Neptune is a deceiver. You have to stay realistic. Nothing wrong with being optimistic, but don't be idealistic unless you're basing your idealism on realism. Something doesn't that seem like an oxymoron? Don't be idealistic unless you're basing that on something that's realistic, that's really going on. Otherwise, what you're doing, you're saying, oh yeah, I know this is going to happen, I feel great, and then you get there and all kind of hell breaks loose. So you got to realize idealism has its place. So they can be overly trusting. The Pisces, sad or depressed. Why they sad or depressed? Because they begin to realize how life really is. But see, once you accept it and deal with it, it's not as bad. But when you first get there, it's going to hurt, and but that's what the 12th house is, to deal with all of this. Because you're saying, wow, I was only 20 years old, and I wanted to do this. I joined this church, and I wanted to help out, and blah, blah. I never knew this was going to happen to me. So now you got to deal with that pain, but now it's going to help you. Hopefully, if you learn from it, it'll help you not to trust like that no more. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I grew up in the Bible. I grew up in all of that stuff, but I've learned. You go through everything. You learn how to do all of this stuff. Metaphysics. I know the mysteries of the kingdoms. You could be spiritual, but everything you have to be careful, because this is a dirty world. It really is. And the moment people don't want to say that, the moment people, oh, don't say that, then you're out there. I would stop listening to that person, because all you have to do is listen to the news every day. This is a dirty world. Not everybody here is dirty, but it's a lot of dirty stuff going on. So you have to be careful. And then when you meet people that act like they want to have help, oh, I just need help. Yeah, but how? Like let's get a little bit more specific, because I'm not going to sit here and waste my time allegedly helping you, and you're going to pull me down with you. So I learned a lot out here. So that's why the way I do things now, it's a little, it's protection for everybody at the end of the day, because I'm not putting myself out there like that no more. And that's what the 12th house, you should learn in the 12th house. And believe it or not, Vesta will teach you that. I know Vesta's in your first house, but Vesta also teaches you, hey, you were too nice. You can't be like that anymore. So that's why I said the more you know about astrology in your natal chart, the better off you can become. So they say a Pisces, just like that Neptune retrograde, tries to escape reality. So we don't want to escape reality. The likes of a Pisces is spiritual themes, time alone, physical media, time to sleep, romance, music, swimming. Dislikes, they hate know-it-alls. They hate when their past comes back to haunt them. They hate being criticized. They hate cruelty of any kind. Their best environment is on or near water, especially the sea. Or they like to get out and have adventure or something. Even watching a good movie. Now, the charismatic marks they might have are soft, sometimes frail to medium build. Their face easily shows emotions. All right. So the two houses you might learn more about on your own is the 12th house and the 8th house. What that really consists of and everything. So we learned about your life purpose. We saw some strong points, things to work on. Might have learned a little bit about past life and things of that nature. Now, when this person takes the information, they take notes, they listen, play it back, go over it, they probably will come up with more for their life. So that's why I designed it this way. So they would have better answers because it's their life, so they understand things a little bit better. And again, once you have your natal chart, anywhere you go to ask questions, they're going to refer back to your natal chart. So try to find out what the astrological signs they're dealing with and things like that, because that'll help you. That'll help you. Like, say somebody had a reading, they say, I know somebody at my job is scheming on me. I don't know who. And they get an archangel card reading and say one of the archangels shows up. And let's just say his zodiac sign is whatever. And you say, okay, well, we know it's a zodiac sign. And then they say, yeah, that's that person. I thought it was that person. Yeah, they are that zodiac sign. It's just stuff like you do things like that. All right. So this was the natal chart portion of their chart. And we're going to also be doing a life purpose based on her name and birthday, the numerology. And that'll be on a different video. Okay, this is Gat. If anybody's interested in any of the services we have out here, as I say, we do it. We do a lot of sales. We try to help as many people as we possibly can. We help a lot of people. But all you have to do, if you're not sure, you can ask. All that information is in the description box. Or if you want to get started, all you need is for the natal chart, date, time, year of birth. If you don't have the time, we can ask the archangels. City, state, USA, gender, male or female. If you want the life purpose numerology based on numerology of your name and number, then have your full name as it appears on your birth certificate. And again, we still need a date as well and the year. Alrighty, God bless.